Number 10. The Cobra break-in. One of the scariest break-ins in human history was just reported by ABC News. The network shared the shocking video of an enormous cobra slithering up somebody's house and trying to break in through the front door. This happened in Malaysia, and the cobra can very clearly be seen in the video wrapping itself around the doorframe and then slipping into the home through an open window. This new evidence proves that cobras are not just terrifying, but smart enough to get into people's houses. It's not clear what exactly motivated the cobra to invade a stranger's house. We don't know if anybody was home when it happened, and there's no information on why somebody was standing across the street filming the break-in either. Hopefully, whoever had been recording had at least had the common courtesy to inform their neighbor that one of the deadliest snakes in the world was slithering through their home. Lock your doors, close your windows. Is anywhere safe? Number 9. Rat nightmare. There's nothing quite like seeing a rat inside of your house. Even worse is when there is a rat invasion going on within your very own walls. And that is the exact skin-crawling nightmare that came to life when a family hired a contractor to help remodel their home in Scottsdale, Arizona, only to discover a beehive inside of the wall, along with an entire platoon of rats. This infestation of rats was so terrible that the contractor actually asked the homeowners if they would prefer to sell their home rather than try to fix the problem. And, believe it or not, it ended up costing the family around $90,000 to replace everything damaged by the little rodents. Plus, they had to pay even more money just to get the rodents to leave. But here's the most horrifying part about the rat invasion. The homeowners didn't even know there was a problem until they broke open the walls. Up until then, they only suspected rats in the walls, and they definitely didn't expect there to be as many as there was. And this should come as a lesson to everyone, that even though you might feel safe inside your house, it could be crawling with flesh-hungry, disease-carrying rats. Number 8. The angry bear. It's not every day that a bear breaks into a person's home. But if you live in rural Colorado, there's definitely more of a chance that it could happen than other places in the country. One unfortunate homeowner happened to be the victim of a rampaging bear that broke into their house and then escaped by literally bursting through the walls like the Incredible Hulk. The break-in happened on a Friday evening, and luckily the homeowner wasn't around to meet the bear's undeniable fury. According to Estes Park Police, it was probably the smell of garbage that had attracted the bear in the first place. The police department even posted on their Facebook page that upon the officer's arrival, the bear breached a hole in the wall and smashed through it like the Kool-Aid Man. They also added, "Please do your part to keep bears wild. Bears are extremely smart, which means we all have to be too." And in other news, Colorado Parks and Wildlife reported that there were over 40 break-ins in the area in just a handful of weeks, including 35 vehicles and 9 houses. If you live in the backwoods of Colorado, you had better be sure to take your garbage out on time. Have you ever had a bear invasion? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to give this video a like and hit that subscribe button for more videos like these. Number 7. The cockroach invasion. Welcome to the worst cockroach invasion in the history of pest control. This one makes me shudder. The roach job was done in the early 1990s by an unnamed exterminator, who referred to the job as the worst infestation of cockroaches he had ever witnessed. When he arrived at the house, he noticed something quite strange that he had never seen before. These were cockroaches wandering around outside the house in broad daylight. This was immediately shocking because cockroaches typically only come out at night, and during the day they hide in cracks and crevices where they can't be seen. Upon closer inspection, there were cockroaches literally congregating on the porch and falling out of the windows. When the exterminator knocked on the door, a young kid opened it and at least 20 roaches fell out of the door jamb. In the end, there ended up being thousands upon thousands of cockroaches literally infesting the house, with clusters of them all over the ceilings, the walls, the beds, the kids' toys, and literally everything else. The invasion was so bad that the children in the house no longer had their eyebrows, because the cockroaches had been eating them at night. The exterminator said it was just too much. He tried to do his job, but each time he started to apply the insecticides, roaches would start raining from above. They even landed on his head, and he was constantly shaking his legs so they wouldn't crawl up his pants. He ended up leaving and never returning. It was that scary. But it really makes you wonder just how anyone could live in those conditions. Number 6. The Colorado tarantula invasion. In Colorado, residents don't only need to live in fear of bears invading their houses, they also need to live in fear of giant tarantula migrations. According to Valley News Live, every year in the summer, there is a mass invasion of tarantulas that move into the state. Apparently, the Oklahoma brown tarantulas travel to the area looking for females burrowed in the prairies to mate with. It's one of the more frightening mass migrations that happens in the United States. But Colorado doesn't seem to mind that much. In fact, the Colorado Tourism Board actually put a list of viewing tips together for the courageous people that want to get a closer look at the giant spiders. They say the peak viewing day is September 10th at 6 p.m. Luckily, tarantulas are not dangerous or venomous. They're perfectly safe, if not a little creepy. And, as a warning, everyone should also know that tarantulas migrate into Southern California at the end of the summer too. Nobody is safe. Number 5. Woman invades giraffe's home. In a weird twist, a woman recently invaded an animal's house. A disturbed woman broke into the giraffe enclosure at the zoo. She was greeted with a swift kick to the face. The giraffe stands about 12 feet or 3.6 meters tall, and he gave her a nice face lick before turning around and kicking her as hard as he could right in the face. And he, of course, had every right to do it, as the crazy woman was breaking into his home. She was technically a home invader, and she kind of got what she was asking for. The woman's name was Amanda Hall, and she was visiting the Henry Vilas Zoo in Madison, Wisconsin, when Wally the giraffe caught her red-handed. If you're wondering why a woman would break into a giraffe enclosure, Amanda said that it was because she just loves giraffes. Clearly, giraffes aren't too fond of her, though. According to the New York Daily News, the zoo staff said that Amanda was very lucky not to sustain any serious injuries, as giraffes are able to kick hard enough to kill a lion. Number 4. Planet of the Monkeys. In Thailand, an invasion of monkey gangs is causing mayhem and chaos. With a huge downturn in tourism in the ancient city of Lopburi, the local monkey gangs are going ape. These monkeys are used to being fed by thousands of curious tourists who are happy to hand out food. But with the worldwide coronavirus came the absence of tourists. Because of that, there also came an absence of food. And this caused a war to break out between two of the biggest street monkey gangs in the city. It happened in the historic center of Lopburi, where many of the most popular temples are. And while as of right now, nobody has been injured, the invasion of these angry monkeys is threatening the very stability of the 800-year-old city. And if you think this is an exaggeration, it's really not. The two gangs entered the town recently in search of food and got into a huge street brawl over a single cup of yogurt. The fight was so intense that traffic was stopped for 10 minutes, while humans tried to figure out what to do. With the food shortage getting worse and the 39 million annual tourists unable to return to Thailand, the war between the monkeys will probably only get more and more violent. Number 3. The turkeys of Staten Island. New York's Staten Island is home for a lot of historical things. But what a lot of people don't realize is that the island is also famous for a rather strange infestation. There is a turkey invasion unfolding on Staten Island as we speak, and nobody is quite sure what to do about it. In this New York City neighborhood, you can see hundreds of wild turkeys literally roaming the streets, walking up from the sidewalks and tearing up the grass at local parks trying to get a bite to eat. And so far as the story goes, it all started with 9 turkeys being kept as pets over 20 years ago, back in 1999. The pets were liberated, they began to breed, and all this time later, there are now hundreds and hundreds of turkeys plaguing Staten Island. The worst part is that there have been reports coming in recently that the turkeys are getting more and more aggressive. It's only a matter of time before a flock of angry turkeys targets a daycare and somebody's kid becomes turkey soup. And there's currently a debate going on whether to harvest the birds and serve them at local homeless shelters, or if donations should be given to relocate the big birds. How do you think the turkey problem should be solved? Let me know in the comments below. Number 2. Giant hornets on the loose. In the United States of America, there is an unseen invasion happening that could have some seriously devastating effects on the local bug population and those who like to play in the summer sun. I'm talking about giant hornets. For the first time in history, giant hornets have been spotted trying to get a foothold in the United States. This happened in 2020 in Washington State, when beekeepers began discovering piles of deceased bees with their heads ripped clean off their bodies. This is alarming for several reasons, not least of which is that the United States already has a huge issue with bees, which are very important for pollinating crops so that everyone in the country has something to eat. And Asian giant hornets, for some crazy reason, are hellbent on killing every last bumblebee in America by ripping their heads off. Asian giant hornets, as they are properly called, are over 2 inches or 5 centimeters long, and have such powerful venom in their stingers that they can kill humans. According to a bee breeder at the Washington State University, Asian giant hornets look like something out of a monster cartoon, with huge yellow faces and great big bug eyes. Scientists don't know how the giant hornets have ended up in Washington State, but now that they're here, it would appear an invasion is imminent. Number 1. Swarms of locusts. In 2020, while the Asian giant hornets were infesting the United States, a plague of locusts, like the ones which the world hasn't seen since biblical days, was spotted descending upon the Horn of Africa. The invasion devastated farms, threatened food security for the continent, but for whatever reason was basically just ignored by the media. But the truth is that while everyone was sitting in quarantine, swarms and swarms of desert locusts destroyed miles of farmlands throughout countries like Kenya. And there were so many of them that there was nothing anyone could do except gasp in horror as the sky was literally turned black by hundreds and thousands of horrifying bugs. And in case you didn't think this invasion was all that serious, it absolutely was. Because just recently, the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization said the desert locust posed a threat to about 10% of the world's population. And in 2021, you can bet that they'll be back. Which of these invasions scares you the most? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and check back soon for another awesome animal video.